Everybody, welcome to part 4 of my ASL Starter Kit number 1 playthrough of War of the Rats, the second scenario from the Starter Kit. It's been great fun so far, having a blast. This is the final part to the battle. Here's where I finish up the game, and I'll give you my thoughts afterwards, what I feel about the scenario and about ASL, the Starter Kit in general. And tell me what you think, folks. Leave me some comments and feedback on this. You like this sort of thing? Want to see more? And the format as well. Do you like it where I just play through it like this and give you the results? Or do you want to see some dice rolls? More dice rolls, I should say. Movement of the counters and units and so on. Let me know in the comments. And all right, folks, let's jump into this and see the outcome to this battle. Right, here we are, halfway through the German turn 5. Again, this is 6-turn battle. Did the movement phase and so on, all the way up through the defensive fire phase for the Russians. So that's complete. I believe we go to the advancing fire phase next. I removed the residual markers, which I believe there was one here. I believe one here as well. But anyway, let's show you the movement the Germans made here. They did a lot more movement than they have been making, actually. If you look down here, you'll see one of the elite units right there, 548, did hustle from this location, I believe he was, down through here. Nobody could see him. He got his way down through here behind cover of the building and got into the building. And I believe he spent 4 MPs to do that. He didn't get a CX marker, of course. And also, I believe this unit advanced from, where was he? I think he was back here. I think he was originally the guy that was fighting that close combat. He spent 4 MP to get into this building further. And he's now adjacent to this Russian broken unit, which is marked DM, so it's going to have to rout or be destroyed. So that's pretty much going to seal the fate of this building. There's no more Russians anywhere around here, so this building is effectively captured by the Germans. The Germans, as you can see, have been shifting over to where the action really is now and where it's going to conclude these 2 objective buildings. And besides this elite unit, this unit as well with the officer, this is another elite unit, and he does have his DC as well. He also moved from this location up through here, so yeah, I think he spent 6 MPs to get to this spot. And again, none of the Russians could see his movements, so there was no defensive fire on this unit, or this one, I believe. Actually, I think this guy here did fire here, and put down some fire, and it was ineffective. And this, by the way, is an 8-1 Russian commander with a conscript unit of 426. So this unit was just in range to fire normally. Yeah, that's what he did there. I think that was during the defensive phase proper. Next we have this unit here. It was 2 squads of 527s, very short range. I think they also withheld their fire till the defensive fire phase proper. And put their fire on this stack of Germans, which did move from here using advanced movement, in other words, moving 1 hex max to this location. They did not use all their MPs to do so. So here they are, adjacent to this unit, this stack, I should say, and I believe their defensive fire was on this position, and unfortunately, even though they mustered a firepower of 10, this was their first and final fire here. And it was within normal range. They could not do any damage to any of the units in this stack. This unit as well did some first fire. I believe initially, as you can see, he's got a malfunctioning LNG, unfortunately. His initial fire was up here when this unit and stack here moved into this hex. As you can see, that unit is now DM'd. I believe that's a German line unit. Yeah, that was what was back here. This stack actually moved out of this position, out of the line of sight of these 2 units currently, but was defensive fire was put down on this space by this unit down here. It's 1, 2, 3 away, so it was long range for the squad, but they did have their LMG, which got a sustained fire and was able to fire a second time. Yeah, so that was that. And this unit up here, of course, is broken. And I believe that was from that fire and is currently DM'd. So that was an effective defensive fire for the Russians. But the Germans do have their 9-2 in there, as well as another squad of elites, so they're still in great shape. They also put a final fire on this unit when it moved into this hex. It was also ineffective, and in addition, their LMG broke down. It rolled its breakdown number. It also had a penalty on that value, which I think is 11, and it was knocked down to a 9 because it was his secondary fire, basically, on this hex. Something like that, but it did break down, so that weapon is currently malfunctioning. Can't use it currently. It has to be repaired. And yeah, that's the situation so far regarding the Russians. And of course, the Russians still have that 8-2 there, and boy, is that coming in handy. Those 8-2 and 9-2 commanders especially are fantastic. What else? I think that was about it for the Germans' movement. They did shift this unit over here. I think he was up in here, one of these hexes. He shifted him down in the building. He can now get some fire on this position over here. In addition, this stack with the 8-0 commander, it's a first line German, oh no, it's a second line German unit with an LMG. He shifted up in this direction through the buildings. He's currently in this position. I don't think he can see anybody at the moment to shoot at. This is a stone building, but we'll see what I do with him. And of course, we can't forget these 2 squads of Russians, which are pretty much out of action currently. One of them is a half squad, I believe. I believe that's a half squad. Yeah, it's down to a half squad. Took some casualties. So that's the situation, folks. Now I'm going to go into, I believe, the advanced fire phase for the Germans. This is where they can do a little shooting after moving. I'm pretty sure this stack will issue some fire, probably into this hex. Of course, it'll be halved for advanced fire. Let's see, do they have assault? No. They don't have assault fire. So that's unfortunate. So their firepower will be halved for that, but doubled again for close range. But I'll show you the results of that at the end of the German turn. So this is it so far, folks. All right, this is the end of turn 5 for the Germans. I'm at the top of turn 5 for the Russians. Let me go through this really quick because it's getting brutal, folks. I don't think the Russians are going to pull this off, but we will see. I can see over here, this stack over here, routed, survived interdiction. It's now in this stone building. This is a broken squad for the Russians. I believe it's a half squad. It was in this location. The Germans quickly advanced into that vacated hex, so now they're securely in possession of this building, which is an objective. I don't think this unit did anything. I believe this medium machine gun shifted into this stone building. This unit moved forward into the open. There's a leader with them. There are one squad with an LMG, but there's no threats anywhere to catch them, so they're fine at the moment. This unit routed to this location here. He routed because he was in the same location as a known enemy. I think he was known. I'm not sure about it. I'll have to go back and look at this because technically he cannot actually see this unit that's in the building. So he might not have had to route out of this location. I'll double check that. If I'm wrong, I'll put him back. I'd actually prefer he was still in here, to be honest with you. Anyway, where are we? Yeah, these guys are still in good shape. There are 2 squads here. First line, there's a squad there of conscripts with the 8-1. They are contesting this building, and these 2 units moved forward with an advance, so they're getting closer to the tail of the Russians. Over here was disaster for the Russians. Again, this unit, this leader, this 9-2 leader is broken, and that was their ace in a hole, and that's unfortunate. And they have a unit right here. It's broken as well. And to top it all off, their MG is malfunctioned. So that's really unfortunate. I think this might actually seal the fate of the Russians. Without this leader, especially the leader, it's going to be really tough. And of course, one of the squads here moved forward in the advanced phase to kind of keep the pressure on this stack. I don't think these guys are going to be able to rally, quite simply. So their only hope is to get into this building, maybe secure 1, but it's going to take some luck to do anything other than that. They might just be able to contest this by game end, which the Germans will still win by controlling 2 buildings. It'd be a minor victory. this will be contested. So they really got to take some chances in their turn 5. And yeah, folks, there is another turn after this for both sides, turn 6. But I don't know. I might have to call this game before that. All right, let's jump into turn 5 for the Russians. All right, here we are. I just got into the Russians' turn 5, all the way up to the advanced fire phase. I did not complete the advanced fire phase yet, and that'll be for the Russians, so they still get a chance to fire. Half effect. I just finished the defensive fire phase for the Germans. And you could pretty much see that now. All these units, all these stacks of Germans here put in some defensive fire, both during the defensive fire phase and while the Russians were moving. Also, these two units also fired during the defensive fire phase, basically on this stack. And all I can say is that these two stacks moved forward to get closer and control this building. There's really no point to moving out of it at the moment. This unit, unfortunately, was broken, and it also took a casualty reduction. It's now a half squad in size. That's really bad off for the Russians. But they did survive a lot of fire coming at them, especially in this direction. This guy was point blank. Yeah, but this 8-1 leader, which is all that's left, is still intact with this guy. So the hope here is to do some advanced fire, at least with the units here, and then advance for close combat into this hex. So hopefully by the end of turn 5, the Russians should be firmly in control of this building location. And by the way, I double-checked things here, and that's what I thought. This broken unit down here, which had a DM marker on it, didn't have to leave this location. It's line of sight, like I thought, so he didn't have to leave this. He could have stayed here. So he wasn't back here, and I put him back, which is good for the Germans. At least it was at that time. Anyway, that's the situation. There really was nothing else going on, so I'm going to jump right into the rest of turn 5 for the Russians. And we'll see what happens, folks. I might have to call this battle off. What do you think? Really, I don't think the Russians can do anything more than maybe capture this building location. Maybe. I mean, maybe the best they could do is just contest it. I don't know. But even then, it'll be a German minor victory. Technically, according to the rules, this would be a Russian victory. The Germans have to capture all 3 of these buildings to win. So technically, it would be a Russian victory. And the way I approach this scenario, from my understanding, it's very challenging for the Germans. But I don't know about that. My experience playing this for the first time, it's wow, this is actually challenging for the Russians. I don't know. I guess it all depends on the way the dice go and when reinforcements come on, and of course the players and their tactics as well. I'm basically playing against myself, which is, that's a challenge in its own. But yeah, I'm going to go into the rest of turn 5 for the Russians, finish it up, and then we'll get into the final turn of the game, folks. Hang in there. All right, folks, I just finished turn 5 for the Russians. Let's whip through this, and I'll show you the results of all this. We're closing in on the end of the game here. We've got this stack, survived interdiction. It did route to this current location. It is the 9-2 Russian commander. Yep, broken as always, but here they are. This unit routed out of the building is currently located here. And finally, up here, these guys did do some advanced fire on this stack of Germans, which is now gone, by the way, and advanced into the hex to fight a close combat. There was no ambushes, but the combat was decisive. And unfortunately for the Germans, they lost an elite unit as well as a 9-2 commander and a broken unit. So that was a big loss, and so far the only real loss outside of the flamethrower, if you remember, losing its gas. Those are the only losses the Germans have suffered so far in this battle. But the end result is the Russians control the building. And we got one more turn to go. So let's jump into that and see what happens. All right, halfway through the German turn 6, last turn of the battle. Just did a few little things here. I moved him to here. It really doesn't matter. Fired my LMG with prep fire on this stack over here and ended up getting my LMG to malfunction. That's funny. No real rallying going on. The Russians couldn't do anything. They had no leaders here. They can't self-rally. This guy attempted to self-rally. Couldn't do it. Germans did put some prep fire from these stacks over here in these locations. Let's take some shots at this stack here. And moved up these elite units who had their DCs. This stack right here with the 9-1 did manage to place a DC. He endured some defensive fire from this stack, and I did not place the residual. It's okay, it doesn't really matter at this point. But yeah, he got to this location, paid the MPs to place that baby, 2 MPs in this case, and there it is. He survived. So this DC is going to be effective, I hope. It's got a firepower of 30. Wouldn't that be great? Last turn of the game, take out this Russian stack with a DC. I knew I was saving for something, right? But yeah, that's where we're at right now. So let's get into this now. That'll be resolved in the advanced fire phase, by the way, that DC. It's placed during movement. So we're going to get to that. All right, let's see what happens. Well, that DC demolition charge was effective. Firepower 30. And yes, it DM'd this entire stack of Russians. The leader is broken. All the other 2 squads are broken. One of them exceeded their ELR. So there is that as well. So that's it. These guys are going to be forced to route. I didn't look at it closely, but I'm not sure they can even route at this point. Everywhere they go, there's a known enemy, and they'd be moving closer. There's interdiction, and so on and so forth. But I'm pretty much going to call it at this point, because there's nothing on this board that is not rallied. Now, technically, they do have this leader who can self-rally. And if he did so, he'd be able to rally this unit. But all he has is a malfunctioned LMG. I don't know if it would be worth it. I don't think he'd get up into this building, and even then it would probably just be contested. Yeah, there's really not much he can do. So that was enjoyable, folks. And I'll wrap this game up. That was fantastic. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It's one of these games that really, really makes you think. There's plenty of options that goes through your head while you're playing this game. There's so many things that you could do, so many outcomes to any one situation. It makes it very addicting, very engrossing, this game. You really do get sucked into it. I mean, I've been playing this for about a week now, and every time I sit down to play a turn or two, I just get pulled right in. I mean, nothing else exists. And like I said before, this is my therapy, folks. This really is fantastic. Great way to escape and go in your own little world here and fight out some battles from history. And I am a big fan of ASL and Squad Leader from days gone by. And I do highly recommend the game, especially if you like detailed, tactical World War II combat. Great fun. I played this. I used that slight modification to the objectives where the Germans, they only need to capture 2 buildings instead of 3 to get a minor victory. Anything less than that, they automatically lose. Now, in this situation, the Germans pretty much captured all 3 buildings. Technically, there is still some units here they have to route, probably going to be removed. But that's neither here nor there. We all know what the outcome of this situation really is. The Germans thoroughly captured this building, and thoroughly captured this building. And luck throughout the game, it was up and down, but for the most part, I think the Germans had a rough time with luck in the beginning, the very beginning. But it was the Russians. From about the middle of the game on, they just went downhill with the die rolls. It was horrible. And yeah, this is the effects of that. And I think my tactics were okay. I pretty much deployed balanced as much as possible across the board, trying to defend all 3. And the Germans spread out as well. They were kind of balanced, and so they were spread out as well. So it was going to come down to, well, who had the better unit tactics here and there in specific situations, and who was the most lucky. And I think for the most part, for the Germans, the plan went off like I planned. Wanted to move in this direction and cut these 2 off from each other. focus on destroying and pinning these guys while I focus on taking this central building, preferably first. I believe I was also thinking this one I might take first. I'm not sure whether this one or this one. Well, regardless, this was the first one to be captured, I believe. Or was it this one? I know I rushed into this building pretty quick. I remember that guy coming down from here and zipping in, double timing. That was a pretty good move. Yeah, there's something to be said about that. I made a couple bold moves with the Germans at the right moment when the risk was the less, and got my units deep. Got a unit in here. I moved a unit into this building right off the bat. It was a risky move, but it was worth doing. It really threw the Russians off. It was hard for me to regroup from that. And the fact that the Russians need those reinforcements, boy, if they came on earlier, I don't think this outcome would have happened. But I think they came in, what, turn 4, turn 5, something like that? It was turn 4, yeah. They rolled a 3 or less, got a 2. So yeah, it was turn 3 for the Russians that they got the reinforcements. And I think I brought them in the right spot. I think it would be cool to put them in down here and have the focus be in this area and this area. But I just pushed forward with the troops, the Russians, and see what happens. You know, if we get lucky and get a foothold somewhere and got some reserve to help support that, that'd be great. Well, we got the foothold, but we couldn't keep it. There was nothing to take up our losses here. So the counterattack by the Germans was swift, and it was destructive for sure. DC, demolition charges, love it. And yeah, I lost my flamethrower too early in the game. That was unfortunate. I was hoping to use that in here. So there you go, folks. That's my playthrough of War of the Rats. And it looks like the Russians lost 1, 2, 3, 4 units. 5 units altogether. A lot of conscripts in this force. We lost an 8-0 leader and lost a 7-0. Well, he must have went early. I don't even remember him. And here's a unit here. I think that's all the units. There might be an extra one in here from swapping out units for half squads because they were casualty reduced. But yeah, there's a lot of guys to have lost in the battle. And that's it. Every unit on this board that's Russian is also broken. And every unit that's German on this board is in great shape. They're not broken. They do have a malfunctioned LMG. And that's it. I think all the Germans are in... none of them are broken. No, so that's it. There's these two up here taken out of the battle. Great fun. I had a blast. I hope you enjoyed this video. You want to see more videos like this? Let me know. And I didn't really go into the details of the rules and the charts and the die rolls. You know, I'm thinking you guys, most of you know how it's played. Maybe this will give you some idea. I try to be as thorough as I can with my descriptions. It's a lot easier and less time consuming for me to do a bat rep or gameplay like this. And I'll do more if you like this. If you prefer the play-by-play and dice roll by dice roll, looking up the charts, let me know that too, because I could do that in the future as well. But like I said, it's very time-consuming. I'd hate if I make mistakes, and then I got to go back and fix things, because hey, they happen. I made a couple mistakes in this battle. Yeah, but here you go, folks. Let me know in the comments how you like this. And I'm going to be doing more of these for sure, more ASL. Next up, I'm going to be doing Great Battles in the American Civil War. One of those battles, I'll show that off in the coming days and weeks. But that'll be my next gameplay video that I'll do. And as always, I take requests. Let me know what you'd like to see. I hope you enjoyed, folks. I will talk to you all again soon. Hang in there, folks. It's only going to get better. Take care.